Millions of young Europeans are being exploited during their first years in work. The Commission is working on a directive to shield them from sharp practice in the workplace. But EU countries still cannot agree over the proposals. Eu-decoded looks at what is causing the blockage.
Currently, there are more than 3 million trainees in the EU working to temporary contracts. Almost half of these are unpaid. The European Commission proposed a new type of quality traineeship in March 2024. These would offer fair remuneration, social security protection, and equal access for vulnerable groups.
The 27 governments of the EU failed to get a consensus in December, and the proposal will be further discussed in 2025. We want to hear opinions about the need of comprehensive EU regulation on traineeships.
Je pense que ça doit dépendre des entreprises, du lieu de travail, ce qu'on choisit de faire. Mais c'est sûr que bon, globalement, travailler gratuitement, ça peut toujours poser des problèmes pour les étudiants.
Je pense qu'il devrait faire une régulation, pas juste de la question monétaire, mais aussi qu'il y a un encadrage, un troisième parti qui ne fait pas partie de la boîte en question, qui supervise pour être sûr que c'est vraiment un stage qui fonctionne et pas juste ah, il fait un stage ici. Bah, c'est à vous, c'est votre travail maintenant.
Je pense que c'est plus exploité qu'autre chose parce que, enfin, ils sont pas payés. Généralement, en fait, ils gagnent pas tellement d'argent.
Donc il y a des entreprises qui en profitent même pour prendre des stagiaires juste pour ne pas devoir rémunérer des gens et qui travaillent pour eux, quoi.
Et en plus de ça, il y a aussi beaucoup de cas dans les institutions européennes, ma sœur par exemple, qui se trouve à faire des stages sur des stages sur des stages et qui au final ne trouve pas de travail malgré le fait d'avoir de l'expérience.
Paula Soler is covering the EU debate on this topic. Some member states are trying to water down the Commission's proposal, but others want stricter rules. Which are the arguments on both sides?
The key aspect where member states cannot agree is basically the scope of the directive. Countries like Spain and Germany, for example, think that this proposal doesn't work the way it is drafted right now. So the Spanish Labour Minister, for example, she said that this could lead to a race to the bottom because we are prioritizing low price over the need to promote education. But others, like the Baltic countries or the Nordic countries, are saying the opposite, that the text works the way it is. There are also other problems with the anti-discrimination clause and also with enforcement measures, and the Commissioner has already said that this is a diluted version of the text that the Commission proposed in the first place.
The European Youth Forum and trade unions are saying that about 3/4 of the trainees may not be covered by this directive, just the open market positions. What are the situation of the other 3/4?
Yes, we have 3 other options. We have the traineeships linked to an educational curricula, those that we need to finish a bachelor's degree, for example. We also have the active labor market policies that are trying to help young people to find better job opportunities or to find a job when they are unemployed. And we also have the ones linked to a professional training.
And once the Council reaches an agreement, what will be the next steps and when can we expect this directive to come into force?
Well, the next steps are clear. First, the Polish Council presidency that is starting in January will have to find the right balance between member states. Once they agree, the European Parliament also needs to agree on its position first at committee level and then during a plenary session. And then the trilogue negotiations can start. So the Commission, the Council and the Parliament need to gather together and find a final text.
On average, 78% of young Europeans have completed at least one traineeship, according to a 2023 Eurobarometer. A fifth of those choose to do the traineeships in a different EU member state. In Germany, France and the Netherlands, up to 90% of youngsters take up traineeships. Fewer as a proportion take them up in Malta, Czechia and Sweden.
With us is Executive Vice President for Social Rights and Skills, Rosanna Mizantou. How do you believe unpaid traineeships foster discrimination and brain drain among young professionals?
We have a gap in not just labor force, but in skills as well. We have also huge unemployment for the young people. So obviously, we are counting a lot on the quality of traineeships to attract them to the labor market, to skill them, to equip them. So we have to work with member states, and I am sure, and I count on them, I'm sure that they understand that the quality of traineeships, the minimum standards that we want to impose for the traineeships throughout Europe is for the best interest of those countries, of their industries, of their economies, of course, first of all, of the young generations.
I think that member states are not prepared to go as far as you would like them to. Will you accept those limitations, or do you have a strategy to push to expand how broad this directive will be?
If you are to analyze member states, we see that there are numerous member states that have legislation banning unpaid traineeships that connect the level of the payment for the trainees to the minimum wage. Others are well covered by the collective agreements, by social dialogue. So Commission is not going, obviously, where legally it cannot. But through minimum standards in the directive and through our recommendation, our intention is to offer the best quality of traineeships and the best protections for our young generation of workers.
Young professionals, even trade unions, are saying that the directive, as it is currently, might not cover more than a quarter of the young trainees. Is it possible to enlarge the scope so that more young people will be covered by the guidelines?
24% would be really a type of scope that is unacceptable, I think, for the young people that called for this legislative protection. And they called it to the Conference of Europe, and European Parliament called for it. So we need to think that if we do legislation, we do it so that we really offer the young generation protection, fair remuneration for their work.
Is a legally binding ban on unpaid traineeships out of reach?
Legally speaking, we cannot at EU level go into that direction to ban or to work on the payment of traineeships per se, because that is member state competence.
Madam Executive Vice President, thank you very much for being with us in our program EU-decoded. Average youth unemployment rate in the EU is 14.9%, more than double the rate of the general population. But when young people get a job as an intern, they may be stuck in that role for many years without benefiting from labour rights. Can the European Union succeed in setting a bar on minimum standards for trainees? The jury is out.